The Influencer's Edge is brought to you by the Rapid Sales Accelerator. If you're ready to skyrocket your sales by 30% or more in just 90 days, then you need to claim your free training right now. You'll learn 4 words that will compel your prospects to trust you like they were children within the first 3 to 5 minutes of any conversation across any platform and any medium. You'll learn how to give your prospects objection amnesia, to crush objections like, I need to talk to my spouse, or I need more time to think it over, or it's too expensive. If you'd like to claim your free training now, go to www.paulrossbook.com. Do it before your competition does it now. Thank you for tuning in to the Influencer's Edge, where you get the latest breakthroughs, cutting-edge insights, tools, and techniques so you can leapfrog over the pack in sales, influence, and persuasion. Remember to visit our website at www.theinfluencersedge.com to enjoy even more great episodes like this one. We look forward to seeing you again on the Influencer's Edge Show. All right, welcome back to the Influencer's Edge, the show that thinks outside the box, colors outside the lines, sometimes on the walls and all that other stuff. I got smacked around as a kid for doing that, and disconnects the dots. I've just been prodding my guest today in our pre-interview green room chat. Our guest is, it's Margo Boster, is that right?
That is correct. Yes, thank you.
Margo, you've worn many hats in your star-studded career, and let's, hold on, put my phone on airplane mode. So you're a leadership coach and yoga teacher. Oh, I do upward facing, downward facing, sideways twisted pretzel pose.
Oh, I love that one.
Really, yoga teacher is pretty cool. So you could do all those, although it's really not about the pose. Yeah, I understand that. It's about preparing the body to be one with breath and to sit in meditation. I'm a meditator. All right. You have over 25 years of diverse roles in information technology across private sector companies, government organizations. Is that code for 3-letter agencies like CIA, FBI, NSA, NRO, DIA? Because we have had some people on the show who are ex FBI, CIA negotiators, case handlers. My friend Chase Hughes trained special operations. Do you care to comment on that?
No.
Oh,
but
okay.
I have worked with an awful lot of very senior executives throughout the government, and as in coaching and working with them in leadership aspects, not in the technical aspects of their job.
Okay, I'll try this again. I'm going to prod. Did you at any point hold a security clearance?
I did hold a security clearance. It was not a super high one. My husband had a much higher one than I, but we're not talking to him today. Yeah,
Really?
he had like the super highest.
Like top secret, I know where all the alien bodies are and that kind of thing.
The ones I need to know. Yeah.
Oh, wow, I love it. Look at you. You're not thrown by me at all. I love it. Okay. U.S. military generals. Very, very interesting. Do you find in the clients you work with, they had to be open-minded or they wouldn't have worked with you. But did you find they also have a very sort of, this is the way it's done. I am regiment. If you don't become a general officer in the military without knowing how to follow orders, did they have a different psychology from people who were not general officers in the U.S. military?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think they had a different psychology than you would expect, but it was not one about following orders. I mean, they understood the hierarchy and the reason for the structure. But when I first started working with military generals, I have to tell you, I didn't want to work with the military because I'm very anti-war.
Me too.
I didn't want to work with the military at all. And when I had the opportunity to, my husband said, the generals aren't the ones who start the wars. They're the ones who try to stop and prevent them. I thought, well, that's a great mindset. And what I found is the humanity of them, the deep thought. They they respect authority, they respect having to do it, but the intelligence and the open-mindedness and the ability to look deep within themselves was really impressive and profound.
Wow, that's super cool. I wonder if my mic, is there something going on with them? We're just going to have to keep going with it as it is because we don't edit here on the
Oh,
show.
that was a great answer. Don't make me redo it.
No, it was a great answer. I loved it. Okay. Private sector and government. So you've worked with CEOs, U.S. military generals, other senior executives to reach their peak potential. Love this. Now, this is the interesting, really interesting part. Drawing on extensive studies of psychology, anatomy, philosophy, neuropsychology. This is all the rage. The neuroscience of marketing, the neuroscience of love. Talk to me about neuropsychology. What do you mean by that? And also how you've applied it to your work.
Yeah. And I think it's quote all the rage because science has revealed so much about how the brain works, how your nerves work, how the communications. And so that I think is why it's getting so much information. The neural leadership, that's a term that was defined by David Rock. And it's really about how our brains work, how we respond to change, to fear, how we make decisions. And so it's, I look at it from the context of leadership. And the way I use it is recognizing that when people are talking to me, you know, sometimes they're going basing it on unconscious learning, things they didn't
Yes.
even know they'd learned.
Yes.
Uh, or the impact of the grooves in your brains and how neuroplasticity, you can change what has been your rote response or reaction.
I was just going to bring up neuroplasticity. Speaking to you as a hypnotist with over 30 years of experience, I've seen it. I've seen people make remarkable changes. And I I have to believe that the structure of that, the neurophysiology of that is neuroplasticity and laying down new neural pathways.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you're a hypnotist. That's a whole good conversation. I did
Yes.
not
Now,
know that.
as you're listening to me speak and you're becoming aware of the rhythm of your breathing, and that little reflex of nodding and the smile that's spreading across your face, I can't be the one to say all the ways you might feel a growing focus. And even laughing is a sign that this is working better than you think faster than your brain works. Anyway, I'm just playing with you a little
I
bit.
love it. That's fabulous.
Okay. You integrate all the latest insights from these fields with decades of experience. You share your insights in Mindfully Successful. That's the name
Mhm.
of your book. Unlock the power of your brain, body, and breath to elevate your leadership. Mindfulness has become almost a trope. I understand what it means. I got into it in 2006. Mindfulness meditation. I don't know if you're familiar with Vipassana.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing Vipassana.
That's your type of meditation that you do?
Well, I did it. I took it on because my mother was dying of liver cancer in end of
Mhm.
2006, beginning of 2007. And I needed a way to cope with that, the
Mhm.
fear of her dying, and also the grief that came with it. And so when you talk about mindfulness, are you talking about a specific form of meditation? Do you teach meditation? What do you mean by mindfulness, and how does it come into play when you teach when you coach your clients, particularly those who mistake it with new age thinking, or they
Woo
think
woo.
against, or on the other side of the cover, they think it's somehow satanic or against their religion.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I'm going to try to give a short answer, but it might not be short.
Don't don't give short.
I really began integrating these two ideas. I've been practicing yoga for over 25 years. And then I became a yoga teacher, took yoga teacher training for a year and really studied the eight limbs of yoga, the philosophies and
Ashtanga
so forth.
showing off.
Oh no, I don't. I'm past Ashtanga yoga. Okay.
Good.
I started from the 101 yoga to I've never been into hot yoga, but to power
Good.
yoga and all the different phases. But anyway, I took yoga teacher training and I really learned about, you're right, the poses are just to prepare you for sitting in meditation and for moving through life. Right after I finished that, and I ended up going to my coach training program at Georgetown University, and I could see this direct connection between the teachings of yoga, the mindfulness, the um, uh, don't take, there's no one right answer. There's you know, bringing things together, not judging yourself. And I saw that in how it integrated into coaching, working with leaders. But honestly, I wasn't confident enough. I still had a lot of self doubt. And so I was afraid to bring those into my leadership practice. But when I talk about mindfully successful, it's interesting when people read the title of the book, they tend to either focus on mindfully and they say, oh, we want to talk about mindfulness, or it's about success. And those two words are not often used in the same breath. So when I talk about mindfulness, I'm talking about being grounded and present.
Yes,
And you can get there from a lot of different ways.
certainly.
Meditations, a lot of different types of meditations, um, physical movements. And then success, you're talking about achieving goals and checking boxes and hitting the milestones. So when I talk about mindfully successful, what I'm encouraging is to be aware and present, mindful of what you are and are not doing, the effect it has on yourself and others, and not get too caught up in the swirl of did I do it right or wrong? And to go one step further, it's also about what does success mean to me? How did I come up with this definition of success? Is it still serving me, or is it something that I just assumed because that's what I had been, society or family had told me to believe? So it's about navigating with intention, acceptance, and presence.
Love that. How do you help your clients have the courage to take that kind of deep dive and look at themselves? Because it requires a
Yeah,
lot of courage. It's the
it
equivalent
does.
to jumping out of an airplane with only the drogue chute and not the main chute. A lot of people, how do you help them find that courage?
Yeah.
I've only found
Well,
it through extraordinary compassion for myself. That gives me the courage
uh,
to gain the clarity.
and it's one thing I found too is that so many people have challenge with that compassion for themselves. They're so much harder on themselves than anybody else. And uh, coaching is about a confidential, trusting relationship. I will trust you, and you're going to trust me, and we build that. Most of my engagements last 9 months to a year.
Right.
So I don't just start in and say, hello, we're going to make you mindfully successful and we're going to start doing 3 minutes of meditation. And so I really do introduce it gradually for each leader in the way that they need. And in the book, I give a number of different, they're true stories, but names and scenarios have been changed for confidentiality. But we'll
Good.
notice something that, like, where they're having a struggle. I feel the need for harmony. I have to have harmony. There's a good place to start. That's where they're hurting. And so we start talking about how that is, how where that came from, how tools that they can use. I start them with 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Just let's breathe for 3 minutes.
Something that's coming up for me, that's arising for me as you're speaking, is
Mhm.
one of the things I've long contemplated and come to the conclusion about is effective leadership has to allow for power to flow both ways. Otherwise, you're not a leader, you're a tyrant.
Absolutely.
And in order to do that, you have to have the emotional self-regulation to be in a place where you really can hear your team. You really can hear the people who are helping you make your vision a reality. So
Hmm.
is part of this teaching, uh, do you think that's, I know the answer, but I want to hear from you. Do you think one of the side benefits or even a goal, when you look at someone you're trained, can you think, do you ever think what this person really needs is not what they're talking about? What they really need is the skill of emotional self-regulation. Have you ever run across that where you see people who are dysregulated and you need to kind of sneak it in and or you tell them directly? You get where I'm coming from?
I think I do. And the answer is not exactly because to say yes, that assumes that I have the answer for everybody. And I don't. Everybody's answer is unique to them. And so what I do is I may have an idea, I'll have a theory. You know, I think that this might be, their ego or their fear um, coming out. But I think it would be very presumptuous of me to assume that I know. So what
Love
I
it.
will do is ask them and really guide them and help them explore, where did this come from? What's going on here? What's keeping me from having that emotional intelligence, that emotional regulation?
You're really dealing with high level people because I'm
Yes,
just going to say it. A dumb person or a numb, if they're dumb or numb, they're not going to get it. And you probably screen
right.
your clients. You
I
must.
do.
I'm just
Yeah.
feeling my way into who you are as a person. It strikes me as you really want to be of service. You're service minded
Yes.
and impact oriented, and so that probably means you go through a rigorous screening process for your clients. Am I right or wrong?
Well, first, I want to say thank you. I'm glad that that comes across because that is true. I really do. I am in service to them. And every client, when I first started coaching, I thought, oh, anybody who came to me, I had to say yes. And I realized that that didn't work.
No.
I am not the right client. I am not the right coach for everybody. And every client is not the right one for me. So by screening processes, we do have a conversation. I do have some questions, and I simply listen in the conversation and get a sense, is this is this something that we can work with? I don't have a score. I don't, but if I'm talking to them and
Right.
they're always explaining to me why I'm wrong, I just don't understand. Okay, I'm not the right coach for you. You have to be receptive to coaching.
I believe me, I know. I don't know if you know my other career. Did you do your research on me?
I did some, but I had more questions about it. So tell me about
You're
your other career and
Well,
what you
no, it's
care to.
an open secret. It's an open
Yes.
secret here in the show that I've taught men to seduce women for 30 years. And but I've got so many knuckleheads who have come through my door where I've said, no, I can't take anymore. I screen very carefully too. So I feel
Yeah.
you that screening is part of what keeps you from being drained. And you strike me really, I'm not buttering you up just so I can be
You're
mean.
not just trying to seduce a woman. That's
No,
good.
I'm not just buttering you up so I can be mean to you later in the interview. I'll be mean anyway, but it just strikes me that that's where you're coming from. Okay, so in today's relentless professional landscape, leaders are often celebrated for their success, but they privately grapple with exhaustion, stress, and
Mhm.
disengagement. All right, I get exhaustion, what you mean. I get stress, what you mean. What do you mean by disengagement? I honestly don't know what that means in the first place.
Oh, I think that the way I'm using it is that a lot of the times the way that leaders say that they are successful or that they handle stress is they compartmentalize. So they compartmentalize. No, these are my work decisions, and that doesn't mean anything when I go home, and that is my home life, and that's different. And when I talk with my bosses or my superiors, I'm this way. So they disengage. Uh, they try to dissect their lives into these safe little buckets, but the reality is they're a whole person. So how they are at home with the kids, how they are with the servers at the restaurants, how they are with their peers, with their direct reports, with those they lead. You are all one person. You cannot just say, for the server, I'm going to treat you this way, and for the person who I want something from, I'm going to treat you that way. So part of what I do is try to help them understand that, to integrate, I guess, and realize which of these are real. It's exhausting to try to remember which mask you're wearing.
We're all wear masks. This is my good friend Chase Hughes, who's blowing up. He was on Joe Rogan, has taught that we all wear masks and we're all suffering. We're all the products of our childhood rewards and punishments, which I wouldn't go that far, but I don't know what you're writing there. Maybe Chase's name.
Yes.
He's quite brilliant. He's really taking off. You would learn a lot. Okay.
Yes.
So
Sorry for the
leaders are
subtlety
often
there.
celebrated for their success, but privately grapple with exhaustion, stress, and disengagement, and burnout. Same thing. Understanding and embracing the natural power of the brain, body, and breath opens the door to greater self awareness. So it seems to me that let me ask you this. Without your training as a yoga teacher, you could not be in the position to understand these challenges, what to say, having a complete set of tools to tackle them. Would you say that's true, or am I going too far?
I think for me, that's accurate. I think that, we're talking about the whole self, bringing the whole self into it. And so for me, because I did have this very, well, first off, I was born with incredible curiosity, and
Yes,
it's
I can tell.
continued. And so, yeah, as I was learning about the philosophies and the physical aspects, the effect on your autonomic nervous system, the
Yes,
impact of the breath, the power
right.
of meditation, noticing without judgment. These are all things that for me were part of the internal growth.
Yes,
A lot of the times when people look at development, leadership development, they're looking at purely the external.
yes,
How do I run a meeting? How do I delegate? How do I get them to do what I want? How do I set my strategy and vision?
right.
And you said earlier, I have a diverse background, and I do, and I'm able to bring these together, uh, to to help leaders look more broadly and deeply at who they are and what they need and want to be.
Wow. Okay, you're not just skimming the surface, as I can see. All right, let's ask some of these questions here. I don't usually do that.
Oh, well, wait, then why are you asking them now?
Because I don't know. Who knows? I'm the host. Don't you dare ask
Oh,
questions.
excuse me, I can't ask you.
Of course you can.
I told you I'm naturally curious.
Oh, you can get curious. That's fine. But if you have a podcast, have me on as your guest.
I will certainly do that.
Oh, you do have a podcast. What's the name
No,
of
but
it?
if I did, I would.
Oh, look at you. You are a firebrand. I love it. So share a real example of where a successful leader was hindering themselves or getting in their way, perhaps working harder than they had to, or having an unintended impact on their team or organization. And give their full name, address, and contact information.
Absolutely. And where they work and what their role was and who their
Yeah.
boss was and their direct reports. No problem. So, two clients come to mind, and then these two particular individuals come to mind. Their challenges were polar opposites, and yet I've seen these in over and over. And one is the person who was the golden child. They grew up. They were always smart. They were physically attractive. They were athletic. They got praised for all of yes, like you, Paul.
No.
They got praised, but the story that told in their mind, that little unconscious learning, was in order to be loved and
Have
valued,
to
you
achieve.
have to succeed.
Yeah.
And this went along great for years until they had one encounter with one of their bosses. And the boss criticized them in front of a large crowd, their
Mhm.
peers, and I tell the story in the book. And so when I met with them, it was about 4 years after that incident. But that one incident had shattered this individual's self-perception, their self-worth, because I was criticized. Now, this person had continued to get promoted and advance, but it was taking up all their time, their energy.
Yeah.
So we really had to focus on working through that and how we use some of the tools and techniques, particularly in the brain section of my book, the meditation, the noticing, the scratch the record. Another example is that, and yes, at the end, it was interesting because they used to just have an extreme adverse reaction at the mere mention of that person's name,
Wow.
even though they never longer. And this was a very,
Wow.
very senior person. You would
Wow.
never have imagined it. And at the end of the engagement, they were like, I was giving this presentation to this large group, and that individual was there in the front row. And they said, it didn't even occur to me until afterwards. And I'm talking, I was like, oh, I had no reaction. So that is one.
That's a
Another,
profound, if I could, that's a
oh,
profound therapeutic intervention. You
it
don't do
was.
it, you're not doing therapy.
I'm not a
And
therapist.
I know, but the other beautiful thing is I'm willing to bet that that understanding, that direct experience of, oh, this thing that used to bother me so tremendously, I took it on as part of my identity, no longer does. I'm willing to bet that generalized across contexts in
Yes.
his life, and he was able to form the outlook of, oh, that wasn't true. I had a lot more potential and I can relate to people, including critics, differently. I'm willing to bet that generalized out in other contexts, both intrapersonally and interpersonally, and changed his entire life.
Absolutely. And the thing is that there were two characteristics that were associated with that being the golden child. And one was fear of failure,
Mm.
which then led to not being willing to take risks. And so that person has moved on to an even bigger, more impressive job, and and is willing to take risks. And sometimes I often start with I say, let's do small, safe experiments, just small things. Another example is an individual who um, they got a 360 feedback assessment. You know what a 360 is, where you get feedback from your boss, your peers, your directs, and other people, and you hear what they really think about you and your leadership.
Oh boy, sounds like my dating life.
It can be very revealing, but this individual was devastated because the feedback that they received was that they were indecisive, they were wishy-washy, the team couldn't count on them, and they could not understand. Well, as part of the 360, we found that one of her, and this was a female, one of her challenges was the desire to keep harmony. She had to keep harmony, which meant she tried to be a people pleaser.
Yeah,
And so, how that comes off to the people who are working for you is, if I'm trying to please everybody, you walk into me and say, oh, I think today's cold. And I say, you are right, it's cold. And the next person comes in and says, don't you think it's warming up? You're right, it's warming up. Nobody believes what you say.
no one
So, as we
trusts you. No one trusts you.
absolutely, because who are you? And with this individual, we worked it, and we did. Again, it was a deep intervention, and she did end up going to therapy also for it. She grew up in an alcoholic family where it was her job was keeping peace, knowing when to respond or when to react in advance. So these stories, we all have them.
Oh
The
yeah.
difference in my family and your family is I know my family's craziness. I don't know yours.
Oh, believe me, my whole family is. I have no problem when someone says you are batshit crazy. The angels sing in my heart. I love
It's
it.
like,
To me, I'm hearing you're expanding my thinking, or you're expanding my thinking, and it's really annoying. Get the F out of my space.
yes, 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 yeah.
Fantastic, wonderful. Hey, here's a question. Do you apply this in your personal life to the people around you, or do you recognize, no, that's not my role to do that here in this context? I'm going to I love
Uh,
these people, but it's not for me to use my tools with them. Or do you use them, but you slightly modify them.
It's really fascinating. One of the things is of course, as a coach, I'm not trying to fix anybody, but I really have to be careful to not try to fix people around me. How I use this in my life is regulating myself. You know, whenever they respond in a certain way or they act in a way, I have to learn, or I have learned how to be reflective, slow down. A quick funny story: my husband and I were driving in Costa Rica. My husband's 10 years older than and I
That
hate his
dog,
drive.
look at him. He's punching above his weight.
Anyway, I hate his driving on a good day. Okay, so we're driving through these mountainous roads of Costa Rica, and I was holding on for dear life.
White knuckling.
And later, he said to me, he said, "You should practice what you preach. You should just breathe." And I said, "Honey, I am breathing. You don't want to see me if I'm not." And so it's so true that I practice it on myself. I my son told me one time recently, Mom, I want a mom, not a coach. But they do ask me.
Ooh, out of the mouths of babies and
I
suckling
love my
infants, I have perfected wisdom.
my kids are really great, but no, I don't try to fix them, and I don't assume I have the right answer. So I yes, I use it when they ask me, and they will ask, they respect me, but I use it more for self regulation and self
It's a
reflection.
skill. That is a skill that I'm just revealing personally has been up until very recently when I had some profound therapeutic interventions with a modality called DBT, dialectical behavior therapy, which I don't know if
Mm-hmm,
you're familiar with it.
mm-hmm.
It's the only kind of therapy over 30 years in and out that has profoundly helped me. Uh,
Interesting.
Self-regulation is such a challenge for people to the point where I don't even think people have the concept what to say, know how to do it. I think the majority of people don't even know it's such a thing. And in our narcissistic society, it would be seen as a negative, as a bad thing when we're taught to indulge and do what we feel like in the moment. Does that make sense to you, or are you thinking I'm talking out of my ass?
I think it does make sense. I don't completely embrace it. And I think that could be a whole nother conversation
Yeah, okay.
because it is a generalization.
All generalizations are wrong, including this one.
That's right. I was going to say that.
Well, you did mention philosophy, that you studied philosophy,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes. I
Huh.
started out when I was in school. Well, it's a long story about school, but I originally thought I wanted to study philosophy
Oh, yeah, me too.
because, yeah, because I just love the different concepts and ideas and approaches. And with philosophy, there is no one right answer.
There's only ways of asking good questions. That's all I
Right.
learned. In 2 years
Right.
of study, I never came to any conclusions other than it taught me how to ask right questions, the
Yeah.
right kind of critical questions.
Yeah. Um, uh, but I am kind of a science nerd too. I want to know how everything works.
Me
And so
too.
I studied psychology, which is science based. And
Mm, I think a lot of therapeutic modalities have no
well,
scientific.
there's a difference there in therapeutic modalities and psychology. I agree with you. A lot of the therapeutic modalities are based on beliefs or ideas or even experiences, but they are not necessarily grounded in psychology.
Right. There's no clinical efficacy for the majority of them. Look how I'm showing off efficacy.
I like that. Yeah, whenever I hear talk to people about going to therapy, and is I always suggest to them to determine what do you need. There's a difference in a therapist, a psychologist, and a psychiatrist.
It sounds like the start of a joke. A therapist, a psychologist, and a psychiatrist walk into a
I'll have to
bar
think on that
and
one.
they order Seroquel, Dramamine. No, I'm riffing
I
here.
love that. Yes, that's a good joke. I'll have to elaborate on that one. If you
We're
think of it,
actually,
tell me.
we're actually not only oh
Oh,
yeah, we're
that's
just right at the end of our time here. But
okay.
I have to ask you, first of all, what's the name of your book? We'll put everything in the show notes, but I want to know
Okay.
what's the name of your book?
Mindfully Successful. Let
Mm-hmm.
me see.
Can you
And
grab it because it's too far away? Can you take a minute and no, you can't. Okay. Oh, it's a virtual background. I get you.
it is a virtual background, but the real book's in the other room. I can run
Yeah.
and grab
Okay.
it.
No, 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 that's fine. I have blurred my screen because this is a pigsty.
Okay, so it's Mindfully Successful.
Right.
You'll have to find it. And
No, 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 no. How will they find it? Please tell
they
my.
will find it. That was my name. You can find it anywhere books are sold. Amazon, Books, Barnes and Noble,
Right.
independent booksellers. And my website is margoboster.com,
Spell Boster for us.
Margoboster.
Okay.
So if you go there, you can please sign up to receive my monthly newsletters and continue my infinite wisdom and
One last
insights.
question.
Yes.
I have an ear for accents. I hear a little bit of the South. Is there, am
And
I,
what else do you hear?
I just hear a little bit of the South, a little
Yes.
Southern little. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
If
I
you've been gone a long time, like 30
yes,
years from the South.
at least. And there was a conscious attention when I used to have a very amusing Southern accent,
Well, can you
and
do it for us?
I prefer not to. Yes,
Ah,
I
I love
could. I
it.
prefer not to. I lived the
Fantastical.
first 5 years of my life in DC, but then we moved to this
Wonderful.
great state of Arkansas, which is very Southern. Got out of there fast. I talk about it in my book.
Oh, wonderful. All right.
Thank
So
you, Paul. This has been so fun. It's as much fun as I was expecting. It has really been a delight.
my
And
mother drowned all the stupid kids, so I just bring my natural curiosity. One thing that I give I come from a quite dysfunctional family, but we were given a dangerous permission. The dangerous permission was to think for ourselves, and we were
Mhm.
encouraged to take any line of thought. We were never punished for thinking, even if it was against what my parents believed or the family religion, Judaism. We were encouraged to think outside the box and to question everything. So I
Mhm.
credit it to my parents, to my mother especially, who is my great teacher. All right, once again, a wonderful episode of The Influencer's Edge. Thank you to our brilliant guest, Margo Boster, and to the hostile alien armada hovering in your cloaked spaceships just outside of Earth's atmosphere. Remember, eat the Canadians first, and we'll see you on the next episode. Well, not the Armada. We'll see you guys. Bye. The Influencer's Edge is brought to you by the Rapid Sales Accelerator. If you're ready to skyrocket your sales by 30% or more in just 90 days, then you need to claim your free training right now. You'll learn 4 words that will compel your prospects to trust you like they were children within the first 3 to 5 minutes of any conversation across any platform in any medium. You'll learn how to give your prospects objection amnesia, to crush objections like, I need to talk to my spouse, or I need more time to think it over, or it's too expensive. If you'd like to claim your free training now, go to www.paulrossbook.com. Do it before your competition does it now. Welcome to the Influencer's Edge. This is the place where you come to get the latest breakthroughs, cutting-edge insights, tools, and techniques to leapfrog over the pack in sales, persuasion, and influence. Be sure you visit our website at www.theinfluencersedge.com. And while you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now sit back, tune in, and enjoy today's episode.